Good afternoon, just like to say welcome to another video. What we're going to do today is look at replacing the velcro on a sander. What happens with these sanders on a regular basis is the velcro wears away and you can no longer actually attach the sanding pads, they just fall off. So what I tend to do is cut away the old velcro and replace it with fresh. So what you need, obviously, your sander. Single edge razor blade is very good for cutting off the old material. Some super glue. This is Loctite super glue, but it can be any brand you want. Some activator. This activator, this active spray, is actually a never build one. It's aimed for all PVC, urine plastics, but I find it works on pretty much anything, and it activates super glue. That's what it's intended for. And of course, we need some more Velcro to replace the old Velcro. And if we can find them, of course, a pair of scissors come in useful too. So the way we start this job is we work carefully, because it's quite easy to cut your fingers. So hopefully we won't see any blood today. Take the razor blade, very carefully start to cut under the Velcro. It might be easier said than done, because this one has been replaced before. So it's a bit more difficult to get it off. Oh, there's a little bit there that's lifted. Once you can lift it, what you can tend to do is peel it off. First bit off. We've got the second bit off now. The reason it's in two pieces is the replacement Velcro. It's very difficult to buy at the full width of a sander, and the best place to join it is near the centre. Much better to do it near the centre than at the edge. So obviously it makes it stay on better. The super glue bond is usually pretty good. I've never had the Velcro come off, but it does. There we go. That's all off. So just make sure the surface is cleaned up. Just got any loose adhesive off there. So get it somewhere near flat. As you can see from the pattern in there, that's where the old adhesive was. We can still bond to that. It's not a problem. The holes, yeah, we lose the. Those holes are actually where the fixing screws are that hold the sanding plate onto the sander. We don't need to access those. What we do need to do is to cut two pieces of Velcro which are a bit bigger than the sander. So cut those off to about there. Cut another piece the same size. They don't have to be cut neatly, just as long as they're bigger than the sander. Don't need the scissors much more at that point. Don't need the Velcro, so we can chuck that aside. Now what we do, take the glue, being super glue, it's probably stuck to the bottle as per usual. Well, that's coming off, look. Oh, this one's had quite a large hole cut in the top of it, so the glue comes out fairly quick. Then what we do is we cover the area we're going to glue the pad to with super glue, especially concentrating particularly where the edges of the pad are going to be, but we do need a good coverage all over. If we don't have that and don't get the bond, obviously the Velcro comes off, but it's not a showstopper if it does. You can actually start the process again. This is the second or third time I've replaced it on this particular sander. In all probability, this replacement will probably outlive the rest of the sander. So we've got quite good coverage there. Have to be a little bit careful with this, that we don't actually glue our fingers to the sander. That can happen. Done this numerous times, so I'm sure I've glued my fingers on at least once. Right, then what we do, get the Velcro, line it up to where we want it, press it in place. It won't stay in place at that point. Same with the second. This is being bonded to a pad that's been used before, as you can see, and bond doesn't always work first time, and true to form, this one was one of those that didn't. However, if this had been a fresh pad with just neat rubber, so the first time it's ever been rebonded, the bond does work very effectively straight to the rubber, so it's a little bit quicker. What we're trying to do now is set off the activator so that it glues the velcro to the sander. This thing hasn't glued yet, but we might need to press that down a bit more first. See where it's starting to activate there because it's gone white through the velcro. If we get any areas where it doesn't stick, it seems to be all of it this time. Okay, if it doesn't stick, we can add some more super glue just to free the bond a bit. Let's try and do. Right, that gives me a few seconds now to put that on. That's the way around you're supposed to do it. I don't always do it that way, as you've seen. You spray that on, if it doesn't stick, and then we can rebond it. Do the same with that one, we'll rebond that one. There's a bit of super glue there. This is proving slightly more difficult to bond than usual, but I think it's because it's been changed several times before, so the surface is not as soft and not as durable as it would have been, because normally that would be fresh rubber behind there. We'll see what we can do. Let it harden for a few minutes. That one's hardened up now. The first piece we put back on, that's hardened alright. Just waiting for the second bit to do the same, which is proving a bit slower than I expected. Doesn't always work quite as quick as you expect. An alternative to super glue, which I haven't tried, would be some kind of contact adhesive, maybe Evo stick or Yoo-hoo or something like that. Evo stick possibly would give a good bond. Right, once we get that far, then what we do, put the top on the super glue before we glue our fingers to anything. And we very carefully trim around the edge. Then what we can do is any little bits that are left sticking up at the edges, we can then glue them down separately, which is often required because of the wear on the backing pad, which causes the edges to round over. Let's get in a decent position now to get the scissors on there so we can cut this off. We do the same round here. few bits that need a little bit more glue putting under them, just around the edge there. Possibly worthwhile pressing against that with a bit of the old backing powder. I won't recommend pressing this with your fingers, not unless you have a desire to stick your fingers to the sander. That's reasonably well stuck down. It's not obviously as good as if you, the first time you do it. Each time you do this, you'll get a slightly less good result, but that's because you're building up glue on the backing pad, which obviously is not ideal. And of course you're getting more wear on the backing pad as well, which is not ideal. So we just do the best that we can. It's all about getting a bit more life out of the sander. It can also save things when money's a bit short. It can help you get a little bit more done in the afternoon, you know. Just helping out really. Check around the back, see how well that's stuck down. There's a little bit there which could do with, not too bad along that edge. A little bit there maybe. A little more activator. Press that down. Time to go off. Right, okay, let's put these items aside so we can see better. Pick that up in a minute. Right, we now have new Velcro backing pad. If you want to make it a bit prettier by trimming a bit more around the edges, you can. But to be honest, it is adequate. It'll do the job. Snip that bit off the end there. Actually, this sanding pad is one you can see has been used a little bit, and it's a perfectly good example because it's one that actually wasn't attached to this. It had lost its ability to stick to this Velcro. But it should stick quite nicely onto the new piece. There we go. Now, I'll plug that in now, switch this on, it will sand away quite happily. So what we've done there, where we've used some super glue, which I already had. Most people have some super glue, it doesn't have to be this, it can even be the sort of the £1 tubes you get out of the cheap shops. This is about £5 a can, might be a little bit dearer nowadays, but it's incredibly useful because you don't just use it on here, you can use it with whatever you're super gluing. And obviously we've paid for the Velcro. We like to buy 1/2 metre. I bought the hook and loop because the local shop wouldn't sell me the hook, which is the bit you need, the hook, not the loop. And 1/2 metre was about £2.25. So bearing in mind the material I've got left, I've probably spent around about £1 repairing this sander, which for the time being has saved probably 25 quid, £25. So if that lasts me for another year, then potentially that's a very worthwhile job done. So thank you for watching. It'd be nice if you could subscribe if you don't already and like the video, that would be great. If you know anybody else that might be interested in this, perhaps you could send them a link. Thank you very much. Hope you have a good weekend.